There are many people that should be celebrated that have done remarkable things throughout this city.
In 1880, 14 local musicians formed one of Fort Worth's earliest African-American bands. There were plenty of talented individuals to go around. Monet Harrison Fowler was an early director of the Mount Gilead Choir.
Music was everywhere. And then the families would get together and play together.
Other great teachers of music were William A. Fowler and John Carter.
W.A. Fowler, who was a jewel, really, historical jewel, and he had a band that was sponsored by the Masonic Lodge. And they went not only in Fort Worth, but to other parts of the United States and represented it.
John Carter was a jazz composer who taught music in the Fort Worth public school system for nearly 12 years. Dewey Redmond debuted at the Mount Olive Baptist Church, and like so many, found his start with the Terrell High School Marching Band. His early career began as an educator, and once held the role of band director in the Fort Worth School District. Fellow marching band member Ornette Coleman is now one of the most respected musicians in jazz history. As the creator and inventor of free jazz, Coleman often found himself kicked off stage for his controversial new style that often ignored established tempos and chord changes.
Bring in the dog and put out the cat. Don't talk back.
King Curtis Owsley recorded with the Coasters and their hit Yakety Yak, a great achievement for a man from humble beginnings who got his start at the Bluebird Cafe. Other great musicians would come and go, like gospel great Francine Reese Morrison, who held the incredible honor of singing to welcome leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and President John F. Kennedy.
Francine sang for governors and presidents, and all the gospel greats would gather with Francine from time to time.
Ronald Shannon Jackson founded the Decoding Society, which was a blend of funk rhythm and free jazz. Musicians of the time would play at venues like the Gem Hotel that was built in the late 1920s by William Gooseneck Bill McDonald.
Well, now they call my baby Patty, but her real name was Linda Lou.
Linda Lou became a top 10 national hit after Ray Sharp wrote and recorded it. Rock greats like the Rolling Stones have recorded versions of his songs. Art also played a strong role in the African American culture. In 1939, Harold Boyd exhibited in the first Fort Worth Jurist show held at the Fort Worth Art Museum. And in the late 1980s, Percy Henderson opened the first African American owned art gallery that featured African American art.
The one thing that I believe helped them to achieve their success in their careers is the fact that Evans Avenue was the training ground.
Extraordinary talent in athletics would eventually earn many Southside residents fame on national levels. The McDonald YMCA was founded in 1919 for the use by African American ex-servicemen. Arthur Perkins debuted in the NFL with the LA Rams in 1962. Robert Hughes can lay claim to one of the most noteworthy of all athletic achievements. As the nation's all-time winningest boys basketball coach, Hughes coached for 47 years in the Fort Worth School District. Fort Worth's African Americans also achieved significant accomplishments in communication, civic, and medical sectors of the community. Several publications would come and go over the years. The Fort Worth Mind newspaper, founded by Raymond Pye Melton and John Quincy Miller, would be a major news source for 64 years. The Fort Worth Black News and Levita newspaper are still being published today. The earliest African Americans that came to the region arrived as slaves. Slave labor was essential to the emerging cotton and cattle industries. The end of the Civil War brought news of emancipation on June 19, 1865, and the beginning of newfound freedoms and rights that their ancestors had only dreamed of.
The experiences that I had, that I'm able to tell my grandkids, is that it's all not about what you have, It's about what you do with what you have. And that's how we children were able to realize a good upbringing.
William Gooseneck Bill McDonald jumped right into the political arena. In 1892, he became a state committeeman with the Texas Republican Party, and then went on to found the largest African-American-owned bank, the Fraternal Bank and Trust Company, in 1912. Other political greats would come to power. Reby Cary would become the first at-large board member of the Fort Worth Independent School District. Edward Gwynn and Dr. L.L. Haynes were some of Fort Worth's first elected officials. They were elected to the City Council and Tarrant County Junior College Board, respectively. Judge L. Clifford Davis led the fight in the courtroom for equal rights. He served as legal counsel for the Fort Worth chapter of the NAACP. Dion Bagsby was the first woman and minority elected as a member of the Tarrant County Commissioner's Court. Many firsts were taking place all over the area. Lonnell Cooper was one of the first African-American police officers, and Lucille Bishop Smith, Fort Worth's first African-American businesswoman, founded a catering company.
Mrs. Smith was considered the mother of Texas because she took these women and they made fruitcakes for all the men who were in service in World War II.
The medical sector of the community was evolving as well. Dr. R.A. Ransom Sr. became the first African-American surgeon in Tarrant County and also started the first hospital that served African Americans. Also, Dr. Marion Brooks opened a clinic in the southeast community of Fort Worth and was instrumental in the integration of the schools. The South Side was not just spiritual and cultural, it was just an important segment of life for all of Fort Worth.
So many people persevered, and I think it's a lesson for all of us today.
For more information about the history of Evans-Rosedale, please visit fwlivinglegacy.org.